for signing up for my newsletter. Here is your boutique fitness, Pilates, yoga, personal trainer, profit and loss statement to help you understand how your business is doing, the looking ahead to see where you can be profitable, what you can change in your business to help you be more successful going forward. I want to start here on this first tab, Start Here. If you ever need quick directions on what to do, I have written just some basic notes down. You can always come back to this Start Here tab, but we're going to jump right ahead to the P&L 2024. Now, this statement here includes 2024 and 2025. The goal would be to then duplicate and create 2026, duplicate and create 2027 so that you can keep track of everything. Now, if you're a brand new business, you don't have any data, you can delete the 2024 or the 2025 tab, and you only need one tab to start because you don't have any previous reporting to share. If you've been open for a year, 2, 5, 10, I highly recommend at least doing one full year of numbers so that you have a really accurate idea of how your business has been doing very recently. So that's why I included the 2024 because it's obviously the most recent complete year. And I would highly recommend you fill this out because not only does it show you how you did most recently, but when you're filling out the 2025 tab, you will have about a little bit more than a half a year's data. But as we go into the last 4 months of the year, having the 2024 will help you make some more accurate projections for those last 4 months, especially as we get into the holiday season, rather than just kind of willy-nilly winging it. So I highly recommend at least filling out one tab for 2024 if you do have the data before going and trying to fill out 2025. All right, let's go to 2024 because I've already filled in some numbers, revenue streams, things to show you how this document works. The first thing is go ahead and change your business name right up here or name this anything else you want to name it. And things to note, you can always go back to the Start tab if you need to. And anything in yellow is what you can change. Anything in yellow, if you change it, it will automatically update in other places and it's fair game. Anything in white, don't update. For instance, workers' comp per month, this number here has a formula at the top. If you just start typing a number into this cell, you'll destroy the formula up top and you'll break the sheet. So therefore, I really want you to only change what's in yellow. There is one exception to that, and I'll tell you about it later. I want to start with the revenue streams because I think this is one of the easiest places to start. I have created this so that it has packages, it has memberships, it has late cancellations, which is a form of revenue, rentals, and I also left some space at the bottom for revenue streams that I might not have thought of. Like, for instance, if you are a yoga studio and you sell yoga mats, and perhaps the yoga mats are $30 per mat, the number you should put in here is what you actually take home, the net profit for selling that. So perhaps the wholesale price is $10 and you get $20 per mat. So that's maybe an example. If you change that, when you scroll down to your revenue streams, you will see that it has already updated to yoga mats. So we know what this is. If you sell candles and the candles sell for $45 a candle, candles are expensive, perhaps you make $30 per candle. And then you scroll down and now you see candles has been updated. So I have left you space to include maybe some additional revenue streams if needed that I didn't think of. In addition, you can change any of the names and numbers above, but make sure that you're clear on where they correspond to because they will automatically update in this table. So if you change single private session to bananagrams, don't ask me why, it's going to change that here to bananagrams. So single private session and then the rate. If you don't use something here, you can just highlight all the cells and delete them. And now there's no data. And then there won't be any data inside the cells down here. I personally, instead of doing that, would probably just put in zeros and then putting in X's as a placeholder so that the formula is never broken in case you ever want to come back and add something. This is probably a safer bet than deleting them. So I'm just going to undo that so that we can have our numbers back. Okay. And I've also left a column for any basic notes. Maybe this cancellation rate is per class. This is how much an instructor rental rate is per hour. These membership rates are per month. So just kind of giving that note to you. Once you have these numbers in, you can start to project how many you're going to sell, and then it's going to show you how much you're going to make every month. So maybe in January, you're going to sell, for instance, a lot of intro packs in January. So let's say you're going to sell 50 intro packs for privates and 50 intro packs for classes. That will update those profit numbers. And then when you scroll down, you'll see the total monthly revenue is reflected from those numbers. And then maybe you already have clients signed up for memberships. Let's say you have 4 of each type of client and their membership. There are some additional revenue numbers that automatically get calculated into monthly revenue. And to be a little more helpful, let's make this green so we know it's the revenue. And then if you need to change this, you can always go back and change the quantity. So yellow is quantity here, and it will reset all your numbers. And so you can do this all the way across, allowing you to see both the actual numbers and you can project any fake future numbers, allowing you to see maybe what you need to try to sell more of, what's not selling at all that maybe you get rid of, but that can be really helpful. Now let's talk about expenses because it's a little bit more complicated. The first thing is maybe there is an expense that I didn't add. For instance, if you're a medium-sized business, maybe you pay a social media manager every month and you have them on retainer. You can add in social media manager and maybe the retainer is $1,500 a month. That will automatically update in expenses. Here is social media manager, and you can see every month the retainer is in for $1,500. So same thing, I've left you a few spaces where you can change this to reflect a monthly number. That is something to note. These numbers are per month, so anything you do up here is per month. Remember earlier I said there was one exception to my yellow rule? This is it. If you have an expense that is a one-time expense, you only do it once a year, and you don't want it to be reflected as a monthly number, you can input that number individually down below. So for instance, perhaps you only work with your accountant or your bookkeeper once a year or twice a year, maybe in April and October, let's say. Instead of changing this number so that it repeats every single month, leave this number as 0, go down to expenses, and where you have your, where did we go? Accounting or your bookkeeper, whatever you want to call this, then only enter in that field one time. And that will automatically update it for just that one event. And you can do that for anything down here. Maybe your repair and maintenance, you're fixing some reformers and you do that every January. You can change that number just for January. So feel free as a one-time change to change the cells here. But if you want this number to be reflected every single month, you're going to want to put it up top. Now, another thing to note about the numbers up here is you'll notice some of these numbers are in red. And the reason for that is that you may need to change something in the formula based on your studio. So for instance, I'm assuming this fake studio has a rent of $65 per square foot. And usually commercial rents are reported as an annual number. So what I have here then is when I click on this cell where it reports the rent per month, up top, you'll notice that I've put in $1,500 as, 1,500 square feet, not dollars. So I'm assuming this studio's rent is $65 per square feet, and the studio is 1,500 square feet, and then divided by 12, so we get that monthly number again. So if your studio is 1,000 square feet, you're going to need to change this number to 1,000. If your square footage is $85 per square foot, you're going to need to change that number. That's why it's in red, and then you can always update the assumption. Same thing, utilities. If you're doing projections, if you're a new business and you just want to have an idea, you might estimate $3 to $4 per square footage. If you actually know your totals, you could input them manually, since sometimes they do change, especially with like air conditioning or something every month. If you want to just put in a single number, you can just change this to like, maybe it's $400 on average, $400 every month. You could just make this 400 and it'll fill in all 12 months. But if you want to do it as an assumption of $4, when you click on this, you have to change the dollar amount and you have to change the square footage of your studio so that you get a more accurate reporting of, oops, it keeps wanting me to break my numbers, which I don't want to. Okay, so that you get a more reflective number of that. Now, let's talk about your wages. In this model, the wages are being pulled from this box down here. And I've just picked some pretty standard wage types for fitness studios: class rates, private rates, your front desk, maybe by big events like a corporate event or a private party. What's another wage you might have? A window cleaner. You could put a window cleaner in here. Again, that will update this automatically. And then you can put in the price per each of these things. The front desk is not per session, it's per hour, but you understand. And then how much of this is happening every month. It'll show you totals for everything. And then these totals are what make up wages per month. I know that a lot of studios, your class rates might be a base plus a bonus. Your private rates might be different per instructor and instructor seniority. Your front desk, you literally may have different rates for people who negotiated differently. So I understand that this could be significantly more detailed, and I would advise you to just use averages here, unless if you're just a solo individual. For instance, I'm a Pilates teacher. These numbers are, when I run this report for myself, it's just my numbers. I'm not paying anyone. That being said, I'm also not putting in a wage amount because then I don't pay workers' comp or payroll tax. But maybe you only have one other instructor working for you, and then those numbers are very basic. But otherwise, I would use an average. If you have 4 instructors, get the average of those 4 people, or perhaps standardize your rates. But that's it. It would just get really, really complicated. And that being said, I have made more complicated P&Ls for individual businesses who want that kind of breakdown. If that's you, if you're like, Shannon, I love this, but I need to be able to see all of my different instructors and their wages and their rates and the totals, let me know, reach out. I'm happy to craft something a little bit more detailed for your specific studio to make this more useful for you. But anyway, that will change your wage number. That wage number is how we get your workers' comp and payroll tax. And again, to the right, I've explained my assumptions. So for instance, your workers' comp, I'm assuming, is about $3 for every $100 worth of payroll. Again, it's in red because you're going to have to change those numbers. If it's really $2, you're going to have to change the 3 to a 2. If it's really per $150 of payroll, you're going to have to change that blue 100. Never change the yellow because that's the wage number. It's coming from the previous cell. I'm going to cancel out of that. Okay. Same thing for payroll tax. It's a function of your wages, usually. So here I'm guessing 7.65%. If you're here, if you need to change that, you can change it up here, but you can see that that cell C10 is that wage cell. So you may need to change the percentage, but just be careful with those formulas that you don't break the formula. And if for any reason you don't want these formulas, you can delete the assumptions. Any dollar amount you put in here is going to be a monthly amount that then fills in as a monthly amount down here. So if you don't want to use the formulas, I was just trying to give you a chance to be a little more detailed. You can guesstimate these. You can give real numbers for these. Your business software is your Mind Body, your Moments, your Wellness Living. You usually have a monthly fee for that. Perhaps your HR, your Gusto, your ADP, your business insurance, hopefully those are more stable numbers, then you can just put one number in per month. Your credit card processing fees, I chose 3% of your revenue, your annual revenue. If it's more or less, you can change that, but you're just going to click on the cell then, and up here, you're just going to change the 0.3 to a 0.25, a 0.4, whatever that actual more accurate percent of revenue actually is. So once financial assumptions is all filled out, and your revenue streams are all filled out, then you can come down here and, as we talked about earlier, fill out the quantities in the yellow cells, and then you'll be able to see your monthly revenue. So let's just say we sold 20 single private sessions, 5 5-packs, 5 10-packs, and 5 of each intro package. Now we have a monthly revenue, and then as we go down, you can see then our total expenses. Obviously they would be much higher because we'd have a lot more numbers in place, and then you can start to see the monthly cash flow and the net profit. Those numbers are helpful at the bottom, and then you'll also see at the top this box over here, yearly profit loss balance, will then show you exactly what you're making for the year. So I hope this was really helpful. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, please email and reach out. I'm also happy to do a free 45-minute session to go over this with you. You can just book a discovery call on my website. It's free. And then just let me know in the notes that the discovery call is for you to go over this profit and loss statement for your business. Again, if you want this to be customized, I'm happy to customize this for you. And we can go on a discovery call and talk about what you need specifically. And then I'll create you your own profit and loss statement that perhaps has way more detailed expenses, revenue streams. I've also created ones in addition to more specific wages per instructor. I've created separate class schedules to show you the quantities in your classes, occupancy rates. What does this look like if you're only functioning at 50% or 90%? So there's a lot more you can do here. But I think that this is a really great place for anyone to get started who really needs to take a bird's eye view of your business, either because you're brand new, you haven't done this yet, you're trying to go to a bank or going to investors, you're trying to figure out what you would need to open up a space, or because you've been doing this but maybe you haven't done this yet for your business. You're just kind of willy-nilly, ad hoc, doing everything every month and hoping for the best, and you want to start taking things a little bit more seriously. And then the last note I have for you is this is only as good as you update it. So I highly recommend, as a form of business hygiene, putting a date in your calendar, just like a doctor's appointment, to go in and update this, maybe at the end or the start of every month, for you to know, oh, this is my time to go check those numbers. And you can usually, in your Mind Body or in your Wellness Living, you can run reports to get you the exact numbers you need on the items sold, on the instructor wages, so you can get a average wage or an actual rate to fill this out more accurately. So I hope this is helpful. Thanks so much. And keep an eye out for my newsletters. I promise not to inundate your inbox with helpful insights for products like this, for new products coming soon, and also for anything related to web design, brand strategy, brand design, and business consulting for anything in the health, wellness, fitness industries. I'm here to help. Thanks so much.